The brain is basically built from the bottom up. First, the brain builds basic circuits that are responsible for basic skills. And then more complex circuits are built on top of those basic circuits as we develop more complex skills. Biologically, the brain is prepared to be shaped by experience. It's expecting the experiences that a young child has to literally influence the formation of its circuity. It's built into our biology. The interaction between genetics and experience that shapes brain architecture is embedded in the reciprocal relationship, the relationships that children have with the adults in their lives. And by that, we mean what we refer to as the serve and return, the nature of children's interaction with their and adults' development, and the impact of experience on development is not a one-way street, it's a back-and-forth interaction. The brain is a highly integrated organ which has multiple sections that specialized in different kinds of processes. So we have parts of the brain that are involved more in cognitive function and other parts that are involved in processing of emotion and parts involved in seeing and hearing. So, if a child is emotionally kind of well put together and socially competent, that will affect more positive and productive learning. And if a child is preoccupied with fears or anxiety or is dealing with considerable stress, no matter how intellectually gifted that child might be, his or her learning is going to be impaired by that kind of emotional interference.
All of my research and that I conducted was my 60+ graduate students, was motivated by their need to learn, so that we can teach. Of course, in some inventions happened along the way, but I've always considered the end the result. And I always consider that this invention to be byproducts of the learning process. The end product for me was always better understanding, or when one really succeeded in unifying theory that can help us in teaching the subject. I've also looked at teaching as a vehicle to try new ideas, of new ways to doing things on an intelligent group of learners. That is as the vehicle for the teaching research results. And in my experience, this kind of teaching is the most stimulated and motivating to students. I am also uncovered many interesting research problems as the cause of teaching assumption. It is this unity of research and teaching, their close connection and the benefits gathered by exercising and the interplay that to me recognized the successful professor.
Now, let's look at the human memory architecture. We store some information temporarily in our short-term memory. The short-term memory holds information for less than a minute, then gradually it disappears. If we want to retain the information, we need to make an effort to learn it. Short-term memory space is limited in size. It holds only about 7 items. Now, let's look at long-term memory. This memory is very powerful. It stores information for months, even for years, and it can store large quantities of information. Our long-term memory helps us to remember events and things that happened in the past. It helps us to remember language and how to use and understand words. And it also helps us to remember physical skills, how to swim and ride a bicycle. In conclusion, if you read or hear anything for the first time, it goes into short-term memory, and after reproduction of that information, it is turned into a long-term memory.
Employers want to get the best work out of their employees, so they need to help them find some job satisfaction. Employers can challenge staff members by setting them new goals. They can also offer development opportunities so staff can learn new skills. It's a good idea to give positive feedback to staff when they complete tasks effectively. This will make them feel valued. If a staff member is worried about an aspect of their job, the employer should make arrangements for that person to speak privately to a manager outside their team. This manager should try to establish a good relationship with the staff member. Many employers see the positive side of this system. By listening to the employees' concerns and providing support, they can quickly address an issue before it becomes too big and starts to affect their work.